Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Horizon Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Camilla Norder. I'm serving as your worship associate this morning, and I'm joined by our worship leader, Reverend Chris Rothbauer, whose pronouns are they, them, their, and our intern minister, Tanner Trask, whose pronouns are he, him, his. As we prepare for our service this morning, please be sure to check your order of service for important announcements about our congregational life. We do have one correction. The notice in there about not if, but when the dam breaks, hosted by Kent Darwin on November 18th, will actually begin at 7:30 p.m., not 7 p.m. So that's one correction. And if I can go ahead and invite Warren Spiker up here to talk to us about some yummy chili.
Gotta say it. Howdy. Howdy. So today is our chili fundraiser. We have a great selection of entrants that are out there. We have half on the right is going to be vegetarian entries, and on the left side are the meat entries. Thank you to all the participants that last minute came and was able to produce a wonderful feast at the beginning of the fall weather. The heat and the lovely warmth of the food is going to, I'm sure, hit well with all of us today. The way it works is there's a table at the entrance, and you can either donate through the Breeze app. We have a computer there, or if you've brought cash, you give cash, and they will give you your vote tickets. Essentially, it's ranked choice voting. Every table will have a jar with a number on it in front of it, and they can tell you about the chili and how it's made, recipe, etc. And you can just, stuff the ticket as a vote, or you can stuff a 10 in there as a vote. You can swap jars. I don't know, we're going to swap jars, but again, this is going to be a fun event, and it's immediately after the service, and enjoy. Thank you.
Thanks, Warren. Now let us join our voices in our responsive welcome. You'll find the words projected on the screen behind me. To all who are yearning for community.
Come and be among us.
To all who are just getting started. To all who long to go deeper. To all with tender places needing care.
Come in, be among us.
To the ones who have healed and have care to give. For those who are curious and hungry to learn. For those who know that they have something to teach.
Come in, be among us.
For the ones who are just beginning to suspect they might nurture others becoming. To the young and to the old, the innocent and the jaded, the fresh of mind and the deeply steeped. There is room here for each and every one.
Come in, be among us.
Wherever you are on your spiritual journey, no matter who you are, the people you love, how you look, what you can or cannot do, you are welcome here just as you are in this community of care and concern.
Come in, be among us.
We will continue our conversation after the service as we eat our yummy chili. So welcome, and let us worship together.
Our call to worship this morning is from Rebecca Savage. Rejoice, rejoice with full hearts, beloved people of blessing. Rejoice. May this time of worship celebrate what we know at our core. Blessings are real and ours to claim and radiate. Blessings are abundant and ours to revel in and pass along. Blessings are transformational and ours to be challenged by as we grow towards the faith we know can be. Rejoice. Come, let us worship together.
The words of poet William Stafford, "It could happen any time," or tornado, earthquake, Armageddon, it could happen. Or sunshine, love, salvation. It could, you know, that's why we wake and look out. No guarantees in this life. But some bonuses, like morning, like right now. May this light we now kindle awaken us to the blessings of this day, this morning, this moment of now we share together. Please join me in our affirmation, which is printed on the back of your order of service and projected on the screen. Love is the doctrine of our church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in harmony with the earth. Thus do we covenant together. I would like to invite you to rise, embody your spirit, and join us in singing our opening hymn, number 128 in the gray hymnal, "For All That Is Our Life."
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's time for our time for all ages. And I am going to need a helper. So first I'm going to ask all of the young and the young at heart to please come up to the front, sit in the chairs that are in the front so that you can see everything very clearly. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for doing that. Now, I am going to need one helper. Right. So, your job, you see that there's a pitcher of sand here, and your job is to hold this glass over the tray while I tell the story. We're going to try to avoid creating a small beach. So, when we think of gratitude, we think of feeling thankful. Like when someone gives us a gift or helps us, gratitude feels good, like a warm, happy feeling that fills us up on the inside. Let's pretend that this pitcher, this sand inside the pitcher is our gratitude. And AJ's going to hold that up. Go ahead and lift that up just a second. You see how that's almost full? That glass is almost full? All right. So one way to look at gratitude is that it's something that we can only receive. We can see gratitude as a one-way street, that is, something we only receive or get. We appreciate it, and when we get it and feel good, we say we are filled with gratitude. Have you ever felt that way? Who has felt that way? Let's see some hands. There's a lot of hands, and that's a grateful feeling too, seeing other people having gratitude or having experienced it. Yes, when we receive something, we feel full of gratitude for what we were given, but that's just one way to think about it. What happens if we stop there? What if we just keep those warm, fuzzy feelings to ourselves? We store them up inside. Maybe there's more we can do with gratitude. I'm going to hold this up here. So you see that this is full. This is all of this gratitude. Now, when we hold it in, it can't grow. The glass gets full, and soon it can't hold anymore. So I wonder, what if gratitude isn't about something we just feel? Maybe it's something we can do with what we've been given. What if gratitude is meant to flow outwards and not be kept inside us? So AJ's going to hold this. And we fill some other people's glasses with our gratitude. When we share what we've been given, whether it be kindness, care, resources, gratitude works best when it keeps moving. It connects us to each other and to our community. Letting the gratitude flow out of us towards others lets us be part of the whole world instead of just a lonely, isolated desert full of sand. So this week, please think about letting your gratitude flow when you experience it. Thank you so much to AJ. Let's give a thanks for our helper. You sit down, sweetheart. And now we're going to sing our children out to their rooms.
We give to remind ourselves how many gifts we have to offer. We give to remember that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. We give because we believe in music and sacred space. We give with the faith that together we have enough. Thank you to our members and friends who give and pledge electronically. If you would like to give electronically, you may do so on the Breeze app or online at horizonuu.org/donate. The offering will now be joyfully given and received. Thank you for your generosity.
My blood doth arise in the roots of yon oak. Her sap doth run in my veins. Boundless my soul, like the open sky, where the stars forever have lain. Where the stars, forever have lain. My foot carries days of the old into new. Her dreaming shows us the way. Wondrous our faith settles deep in the earth, rising green to bring a new day. Rising green, rising green, rising green to bring a new day.
Pay it forward. 3 simple words, but so much of the glue that holds our modern society together can be broken down to these three words: pay it forward. And when we're young, or when we've been knocked down by life and someone helps us back up again, it's an instinct to say, hey, I'll pay you back. But so often in my life, the answer to that offer has been, instead, pay it forward. That gratitude that we feel is moved to action for others. And we see it around us every day in little ways. At the gas station where we're asked to take a penny or leave a penny as needed, or at the grocery store when you return the grocery cart to the rack to help out the workers. It's the American dream pared down to its lowest common denominator. When we're at our best, the people of this country want a better life for their children or the next generation than they had. And this idea has been with our country since the very beginning. President John Adams was the second president of the United States, the first of 4 Unitarian presidents, and of the first dozen U.S. presidents, one of only 2 to have never enslaved anybody or profit from the slave trade. The other was his son, John Quincy Adams. And in 1780, near the end of his only term in office, John wrote a letter to his wife, Abigail. He was in Paris attending to the duties of being president, and he wrote about his wish to stay in France longer to study their fine arts, but recognized the reality of the situation. He had a job to do to protect his new country, and he had to play politics with our most powerful ally. But he was happy to do it because he knew it would make a better world for his children and their children to live in. He wrote to his wife, "I must study politics and war so that my sons may have liberty to study mathematics and philosophy. My sons ought to study commerce and agriculture in order to give their children a right to study painting, poetry, and music." In other words, each generation pays it forward to the next. My parents never wrote anything so quotable, but they did teach me the same lesson. In 2008, my wife and I found our first Unitarian Universalist church. We didn't know a place like this was even an option. And a few years in, I started volunteering to help with the youth group. We don't have kids, but I was teaching high school at the time, so I did have experience dealing with teenagers. This meant long Sundays when we had youth group after service. It meant lesson planning with my fellow volunteers, committee meetings, and even the occasional lock-in overnight. It culminated in a trip to Boston for a heritage trip when we completed our coming-of-age program that year, which was nothing short of amazing. And one week, my wife and I were discussing just how many volunteer hours go into a program like this. Not just mine, but every volunteer hour. And she asked me why I chose to do it. And the only answer I had at the time was that somebody had to. Programs like this for our kids in our community, youth group, coming of age, OWL, summer camps, the public school system, someone has to build it and maintain it. And later that day, I reflected on my answer. Sure, someone has to do it, but why me? I don't have kids in the program, and I likely never will. My nieces and nephews don't go to our church, so why me? And the answer I discovered was that I was paying it forward. In elementary school, I was in the Cub Scouts. My mom helped the other den moms take care of us with snacks and with a place to do our scouting. My dad helped me earn badges and design my Pinewood Derby cars. In middle school, I competed in Odyssey of the Mind, and my parents again volunteered to host our group and get us the materials we needed. And in high school, I marched in the band. That meant a lot of rides, renting an instrument, and more investment of their time and effort into me and the rest of the band. They didn't just help me out. And they did this for all 3 of my siblings as well. They never told me to pay it forward, but they did show me how. We now take time to honor the sorrows and joys of this community, knowing that we are all interconnected and that what affects one affects all. We just have one submitted this morning. It's from Maya, and Maya says, "My close friend Pete passed away on Wednesday. He was only 31, and I feel numb." And we light one more candle this morning to honor all of the joys and sorrows which have gone unspoken and reside only in our hearts.
Please join me in the spirit of prayer or meditation in whatever way feels right with these words from Swiftwalker. Let's start with the people we love and those who love us, thankful they are in our lives, obliging us to open our hearts. Let us open our hearts, embrace the earth, the sea and soil and stars, blessed by bold beauty, the bounty of being. Then with hearts open to beauty, let us embrace the arts and the generation of learning, that we should have wisdom. Let what wisdom we have, wan and wanting, let us to strive, so the seventh generation hence can live more fully. It is in that work and that alone that we can express our thankful spirit. May we make it so for the opening to make it. So let us be truly grateful. Blessed be.
Sing and rejoice, sing and rejoice. Let all things living now sing and rejoice. Sing and rejoice, sing and rejoice. Let all things living now sing and rejoice. Sing and rejoice, sing and rejoice. Let all things living now sing and rejoice.
A reading from David White. Gratitude is not a passive response to something we have been given. Gratitude arises from paying attention, from being awake in the presence of everything that lives within and without and beside us. Gratitude is not necessarily something that is shown after the event. It is the state of attention that shows we understand and are equal to the gifted nature of life. Gratitude is the understanding that many millions of things must come together and live together and mesh together and breathe together in order for us to take even one more breath of air, that the underlying gift of life and incarnation as a living, participating human being is a privilege, that we are miraculously part of something rather than nothing. Even if that something is temporarily pain or despair, we inhabit a living world with real faces, real voices, laughter, the color blue, the green of the fields, the freshness of a cold wind, or the tawny hue of a winter landscape. Thankfulness finds its full measure in generosity of presence, both through participation and witness. We sit at the table as part of every other person's world while making our own world without will or effort. This is what is extraordinary and gifted. This is the essence of gratefulness, seeing to the heart of privilege. Thanksgiving happens when our sense of presence meets all other presences. Being unappreciative might mean we are simply just not paying attention.
Choose one special one, and the only measure of your words and your deeds will be the love you leave behind when you're done. There are children who grow up strong and bold, while some are quiet and kind. Some race on ahead, some take it slow, some go in their own way and time. Some women love women, some men love men, some leave every label behind. You can dream all the day, never reach to the end of everything possible you'll find. Don't be rattled by names, by taunts, by games, but seek out spirits true. If you give your friends the best part of yourself, they'll give the same back to you. Oh, you can be anybody you want to be. You can love whomever you will. You can travel any country where your heart beats, and know that I will love you still. You can live by yourself, you can gather friends around, you can choose one special one, and the only measure of your words and your deeds will be the love you leave behind when you're done.
If you were around last year, you might remember I preached a sermon on toxic positivity. And I know I'm asking us to remember a lot from last year in an age when it seems like there's something new every 10 minutes. But you might remember it because the choir sang Monty Python's Always Look on the Bright Side of Life. The point of that sermon is that while there is nothing inherently wrong with positivity, there are people who will use it as a weapon in order to invalidate other people's often very valid feelings that seem too dangerous or angry or sad to be expressed. It's not that these emotions are wrong, it's that many of us are taught that expressing anything other than positivity is somehow wrong. It's The old saying, if you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything at all. But I have a feeling if I got up here and just sat and stood in front of you for 15 minutes, you all wouldn't like it very much. I have similar trepidation about opening the door to the topic of gratitude, if I'm honest. I still remember as a kid, there was an old hymn in our tradition called Count Your Blessings. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your blessings, see what God has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one, and it will surprise you what the Lord has done. And of course, the way this hymn was sung when I was a kid, it was a form of toxic positivity. Whenever someone had a problem, the minister was always quick to remind us, count your blessings. After all, if there were even a few good things in our lives, then our life couldn't all be bad, right? Now here's the dilemma I come up against. There's nothing inherently bad about counting your blessings. As a spiritual director, I've known more than one seeker who found solace in keeping a gratitude journal. When I was a kid, though, I was taught that anything I had to be grateful for was proof I shouldn't complain about the things that were less than good. I now feel it was a way to gaslight me into believing I was really better than I felt. I'll give you an example. I've spoken pretty openly about how my late teens and early 20s felt like a crushing depression to me, and for good reason. Everything I believed about my life and the larger universe were suddenly in question. I was deconstructing my faith, processing my spirituality and sexuality, and trying to figure out what I wanted to do with the rest of my life, all at the same time. I've had many psychologists since then say it's a wonder you weren't more depressed. It felt like too much, and I wondered if I would make it through that stage of my life. And at times it feels like a miracle I did. When I would talk about my experiences, though, I would frequently be met by people telling me I just needed to count my blessings. You have a job and enough money to survive, they would tell me. At least you're healthy, another would say. There are some people who would give everything to have your life, some would say. You probably heard that last one in another form, some of you. Well, the children in Africa would be happy to have that food that you're not eating. Now, there's nothing inherently incorrect about any of these statements, but they did invalidate the way I felt and make it seem like we're all in a contest. None of us want to win for whose life is the worst. But what would it be like if gratitude were less about glossing over the bad times of life, but about creating the attitude needed to move towards justice for everyone? I'm reminded of the story of Anthony Ray Hidden, a black man who wrongfully spent 30 years on death row, most of it in solitary confinement. Hidden was accused of killing 2 fast food managers in Birmingham, Alabama during separate robberies in 1985. The evidence against him was flimsy, and one detective reportedly told him he was arrested solely because he was black. I don't care whether you did or didn't do it, the detective told him. In fact, I believe you didn't do it. But it doesn't matter if you didn't do it, one of your brothers did, and you're going to take the rap. Hidden was railroaded towards conviction with an all-white jury and a public defender who did not provide adequate counsel. His conviction was eventually overturned by the United States Supreme Court, but only after 3 decades of his life had been spent being punished for crimes he did not commit. In light of such circumstances, one could hardly fault Hidden if he completely despaired and gave up on life and the world. He was the victim of such grave injustices that even today it seems inadequate to compensate him for the stolen years of his life and money. But rather than giving in to despair, Hidden found a way to use his circumstances to make the world a better place. In prison, he was only allowed an hour out of his cell per day, and he used that time to become a friend and trusted counselor to his fellow inmates and even the death row guards. So much so that many of them begged Hidden's attorney to get him out of prison. Imagine that. The guards were begging his attorney to get him out of prison. Despair was a choice, Hidden would later say. Hatred was a choice. Anger was a choice. I still had choices, and that knowledge rocked me. I may not have had as many, but I still had some choices. I could choose to give up or to hang on. Hope was a choice. Faith was a choice. And more than anything, love was a choice. Compassion was a choice. Since his release from prison, Hidden has told his story over and over again as a way to motivate people to be the best they can be. He recognized that even in the worst circumstances, he still could choose what to do. Even if he had fewer choices, he could make than before. I would argue that what he was able to do was form some gratitude for what he did have, rather than letting the circumstances of life define him. It's not that he ignored the bad, he didn't. In fact, he never stopped saying he was innocent and trying to get out of prison. What he did do was find a way that he could live to be the best person even under extraordinarily bad circumstances. He let his gratitude for his life motivate the actions he took. As Helen Keller once put it, so much has been given to me, I have no time to ponder over what has been denied. Now here's where this is different than toxic positivity. I don't believe any of the people I've talked about would have denied how terrible things were. Hidden never stopped seeking to clear his name. Helen Keller faced many obstacles in an ableist society in which she constantly had to prove her worth as a person. And I would certainly not choose to live the many events of my young adulthood over again or wish them on others. It's more of an orientation, one towards gratitude. Jesus once said in the Christian scriptures in the Gospel of Matthew that the rain falls on the just and the unjust alike. Good and bad things happen to everyone, and it is not a declaration of our self-worth. What we're each called to is to determine how we will respond to the things that happen to us. One possible response leads to bitterness and defeat. If I believe there's no way out of the bad, no purpose to my continued existence, if I lose my why for living, as the German psychologist Viktor Frankl once put it, I can become downright selfish and self-seeking. However, if I can turn to gratitude, I believe I can use it to fuel my efforts to change the world, as well as a way, a base to make it through when life feels more difficult. In Frankl's words, it gives me a why to push on through life. As David White put it in our first reading this morning, gratitude is not a passive response to something we have been given. Gratitude arises from paying attention, from being in the presence of everything that lives within and without and beside us. Gratitude is not necessarily something that's shown after the event. It is the deep a priori state of attention that shows we understand and are equal to the gifted nature of life. And this all makes sense to me. Those times in my life when I've been able to channel gratitude, those are the times that have been the most bearable, even when they weren't the best. I remember towards the end of my undergraduate coursework, when it was difficult to make it from day to day, some might say I had a touch of senioritis. I was feeling burned out and ready to move on to something else. But the things that I did have in my life, my friends, my future, my sense of adventure, made the painful parts easier to bear. I'm not saying this is a panacea and that there won't be times you will feel despair. What I am saying is that in this often wild and unpredictable life, it's wise to do as much as I can to build up my endurance reserves before I need them. After all, I can't run a marathon on an empty stomach. More than that, though, it's about recognizing that there are so many blessings in this world. And we're going to talk this month a little bit about what to do with that gratitude, how we can use it to make the world a better place, how we can, as Tanner's reflection put it this morning, pay it forward. These are the things that make life worth living. And I'm convinced there's a blessing in nearly everything. I'll close today with words from David White. Gratitude is the understanding that millions of things must come together and live together and mesh together and breathe together in order for us to take even one more breath of life, and that the underlying gift of life and incarnation as a living, participating human being is a privilege, that we are miraculously part of something rather than nothing, even if that something is temporarily pain or despair. We inhabit a living world with real faces, real voices, laughter, the color blue, the green of the fields, the freshness of a cold wind, or the tawny hue of a winter landscape. My friends, even if everything else today should be taken away, I'm part of a world that includes each of you. Yes, you, even if I'm not looking at you. And that is something to be grateful for. And if that's not enough to motivate me as I look in each of your eyes and think about the blessings and the sadness that inhabits each of our lives to make the world a better place, I don't know that I could find a better way to. My gratitude for each of you is what will lead me to become the best person I can, because I want this world to be one where everyone can see a blessing in nearly everything. May it be so.
What is God we share?
We extinguish this flame, but not our commitment to welcome radically, love boldly, grow spiritually, and serve courageously. This we do because we envision a beloved community filled with compassion, helping all to thrive in a just world. I would like to invite you to rise in body or spirit and join us in singing our closing hymn, number 331 in the gray hymnal, Life is the Greatest Gift of All.
Benediction is by Sandra Fees. May you rise in the morning and greet the dawn with a grateful heart. Throughout the day, may you accept the simple gifts that arise: food, shelter, water, sunshine, with a grateful heart. May you greet others whose paths you cross with that same gratefulness. And when evening comes, may you greet sleep with a grateful heart, a heart of compassion and joy. We take the fire within us and share it with others as we go. Amen. Blessed be, and go in peace.
Life is the greatest gift of all, enriches of this earth. Life and its creatures, great and small,